Hello again. In Los Angeles, everything is a meeting. You have a meeting to schedule a meeting, then you meet to prepare for your meeting, and then you have a meeting, and then 2 weeks later you meet to talk about the meeting. Is it any wonder we're in the position we're in? Look at our city. Look at our state. Nothing gets done until it's too late. Outgoing Police Chief Bill Bratton has been on the inside, and he knows how it all works.
And this city is almost a city that doesn't work in so many respects, and it's frustrating because the New York Minute, the reason that phrase is so appropriate for New York, things get done.
Our contributors tonight, civil rights attorney and radio talk show host Leo Terrell and doctor of social ethics, Charlotte Laws. And Charlotte, I'll start with you. Is Bratton right? Do we need to schedule a meeting about this? Who's to blame for the sloth-like manner of our local and state government?
Well, first of all, I want to say that a New York Minute, that's not what the meaning is. It apparently was derived in 1967 in Texas, and they were talking about the hurried and frenzied state of New Yorkers. But, bureaucracy is bureaucracy, and I don't think it's any different here than it is in New York or anywhere else in this country. We have a problem with, like the city will have deals for purchases, and they always pay 2 to 3 times more than a regular person would. I know because I'm on a council, and we deal with the same vendors that the city makes us use. But the truth is that there was a meeting this morning that the mayor and Zine were at, and I was actually invited by the mayor's office to attend this meeting, and they want to keep the police at current levels. And everybody feels that Bratton has done such a good job. But the truth is we should lower the levels of police, and rather than keep them at current levels. I don't think Bratton has done anything different, really, than any other police chief would or could. And so I don't think his department stands out in the city as something that's a prime example of perfection.
Leo, I'll tell you, don't you think Bratton fired a parting shot here?
I think he was, it's very refreshing, Fred. It's about 7 years too late. Bratton is being very honest about the state of affairs of the city, and he's being honest because he's leaving the city. I respectfully disagree. Crime has gone down tremendously under Bratton's tenure. This city is in paralysis because of these city council members more focused on getting a new position and seeking another office than focusing on the budget. This city is $400 million in the red, and I got news for you. I support Bratton. Unlike his predecessors, the crime is down in this city, and this city is dysfunctional.
Violent crime.
Totally dysfunctional.
Violent crime has gone down since 1994. It's gone down 18% in this entire country. And property crime has gone down 20%
We're talking about Los
since
Angeles.
1973.
We're talking about Los Angeles.
What I'm saying is it's true across the board. It doesn't have anything specifically to do with Los Angeles.
This city is $400 million in the red, and that's due to the inept conduct of city council members who are focusing more on themselves and not the city as a whole.
Well, I agree that we need to get our house in order in Los Angeles, but I do believe this is a problem in every city across this country.
No, we're talking about Los Angeles.
All right. Go ahead, Leo. Take the last word. Go ahead.
No, we're talking about Los Angeles, and to broad stroke saying that this is the problem everywhere in the country is ignoring the problem here. $400 million in the red, poor management by city council members.
All right, let's move on. I think we can all agree on this. If you're drunk, you shouldn't be driving, and if you did it once, you can't be trusted. So if you're arrested for DUI in Los Angeles County, you'll be required to install an in-car breathalyzer. The driver must use it before starting the car. If you're drunk, the car won't start. This program has worked in New Mexico. If people can't police themselves, the police will handle it for you. You like it, Leo?
Thumbs up. Driving is a privilege. No rights at all, Fred. It's a privilege to drive in the streets. If you're going to drink and drive and run the risk of injuring people and you want to keep your driving rights, then the state and the city has a right to order you to test to make sure you're not drinking and driving. The breathalyzer device is an excellent idea. In New Mexico, they were #1 in fatalities with DUIs. Once they install this, they drop 25 slots. It is a great idea. Thumbs way up.
Charlotte, what do you think? Are we infringing on people's rights here, or is it a good idea?
I agree that it's a good idea, and apparently this is in place in 37 states. And they say that it works better for second-time offenders or repeat offenders rather than first-time offenders. Apparently, the first-time offenders are able to get around the system somehow. A lot of times they claim they don't have a vehicle at all, and sometimes, they somehow slip through the cracks. But I do think overall it's a very good thing, and it also helps the offenders to be able to drive again so their family members don't have to be, hauling them here and there. So it's better for society as a whole.
Let's move on now. In 1996, people in this state voted to allow marijuana to be used for medicinal purposes, and a subsequent state law that provided for collective cultivation. Well, now the county district attorney says that all dispensaries in the county are operating illegally. Based on a state Supreme Court decision last year, Steve Cooley and city attorney Carmen Chutanich have concluded that over-the-counter sales are illegal. Most, if not all, the dispensaries in the state operate on that basis. Has medical marijuana become more of a problem than a treatment in this state, Charlotte?
I think marijuana should be legalized and taxed. We could raise some money for our city and for our state. And I think that it's unfortunate that the city has turned a blind eye to this, and now they're acting like the Gestapo. And I actually know someone who was working, just an employee, at one of these medical marijuana dispensaries, and the police came in, put a gun to his face, handcuffed him, picked him up by his handcuffs, took him to the station, ransacked his apartment, broke down his door, ransacked his parents' house, broke open some of the walls, followed him for a month. I mean, my God, don't the police have something better to be doing with their time? I mean, they act like he's and then
Charlotte,
he was released.
Charlotte, are you talking about someone who was operating a dispensary?
I'm talking about somebody who's an employee, an hourly employee working at a medical marijuana dispensary. This is what happened to him about 30 days ago. And I knew this was going to happen because we had a big meeting of all the neighborhood councils. We have a meeting every month, and the city attorney's office came to that meeting, and I could tell that they were going to go crazy after these medical marijuana dispensaries, and that's exactly what they have done.
No, they're not going crazy because of that situation. They're going crazy because a couple of weeks ago on The Filter, Fred had a segment where a doctor was smoking marijuana with his patient. Yep. These things are rackets. And you know what? We need to start all over. I think it's good to have marijuana for those who need it, but it's turned out to be a racket. And the situation you're pointing out is not the type of situation that, as far as the reason why they're going after these things. Start all over, make sure it's being used for a legitimate medical reason, and stop allowing these medical dispensaries to be used as a sham and a money-for-profit operation.
If that's the case, Leo, though, how do they sell the marijuana? What do they do to get the marijuana to the patients?
Have greater control, Fred, with these operators who are dispensing this marijuana. And I can't sit here and give you a blueprint, but we know the current system is not working because it's being used as a front to just hand out marijuana. We have to come up with a better program to make sure it's being used for the proper medical purposes.
They're also supposed to be nonprofit, and they're being used for commercial purposes, and that's what the city is objecting to so stringently. Some people feel that they should be prescribed through pharmacies. That's another possible solution.
Well, and wouldn't that make sense? I mean, if this is for medicinal purposes, you shouldn't be able to open up a place in your garage and sell pot. That's not what this was instituted as, Charlotte, right?
Well, I don't have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with regulations like land use regulations saying it can't be too close to a school or hours of operation. I don't even have a problem with the nonprofit side of it, you know, making them all nonprofit. But I personally would like to see it legalized. I mean, I've seen studies where it's not any more deleterious than alcohol, and I don't see why it needs to remain underground, because I think we end up with more crime. We have, you know, illegal pot coming in over the border.
We're not talking about making it underground. These medical dispensaries are being used for improper purposes. Like I said, when we had a program on The Filter a couple of weeks ago, we got doctors who are smoking it. That's the wrong way. Put it behind the pharmacy. Let a pharmacist hand it out.
All right, let's move on here.
If you're so smart, prove it. Contact NBC Filter on Twitter or Facebook, or send an email to thefilter@nbcuni.com. We care what you think, but if we don't like it, we'll filter you.